Hello! How are you today? I'm a little bit sick, so I do apologize. If my voice cracks, I can't help it. I'm sorry. Today I'm going to be reading some r/PettyRevenge, read by me, Red. If revenge is a dish best served cold, I think PettyRevenge is the dish best served with a nice cup of warm tea. Well, at least that's what my throat thinks today, so okay, let's get on with our stories. Grandpa was, let's say, insensitive. My grandfather was from Ukraine, where his father was a fire and brimstone minister and his mother was a housewife. There was no progressive thinking, is what I'm trying to say. And because of that, my grandfather had his view of how things should be, and that was that. My grandmother, while also old school, was raised in New York City with a ton of brothers and sisters and was low-key petty, but in a good way. If you wronged her, she'd get you, but it'd be subtle. My grandmother was complaining at one point that as she was getting older, she was losing her figure. My grandfather, never one to keep his opinions to himself, agreed. And he told her that losing weight was easy. If she wanted to lose it, all she had to do was try. She obviously wasn't trying. Then he threw the gauntlet. To prove his point, he was going to lose 10 pounds and prove how easy it was. My grandmother was low-key pissed, and she did all the cooking, so she smiled and played the dutiful wife. But for months, everything had lard, heavy cream, lots of butter, lots of starches, etc. in it. She made the things she usually made, but supercharged. Really loaded it up in every way she could. A few weeks later, my grandfather's waistbands were straining, but of course he refused to say anything. Eventually, my grandmother oh so innocently asks, "How much did you lose?" She made him get the scale out so he could show her how easy it had been, and he had gained like 20 pounds. Never said another word about the topic. Oh my god, that's the perfect revenge. Okie dokie, give the like button a pokey, and let's get on with our next story. Crap talk me? Okay, I won't hire you. So, I worked at a company that had serious problems with appropriate authority. In our office, the office manager would routinely say terrible things about the company, encourage the techs to quit and leave, etc. When I was hired, she was looking for another job and was letting the techs do whatever they wanted. I was hired as a supervisor and discovered several ethical violations, and the quality of work from the techs was extremely poor. We had one tech who was just flat out nasty. She was bigger and tried to physically intimidate another supervisor, who was very short, by standing up over her and getting into her personal space because the supervisor called her out on trying to punish someone else. Basically, they all got pissed because they were allowed for who knows how long to do whatever they wanted, and when I showed up and said, "You have to do your jobs," they didn't like me. So one day, the next level up supervisor decides that we have to fill out a rubric on how well the techs are doing their jobs. Of course, I get stuck with the nasty witch. I do my job, fill it out, and give it to her to sign. She signs it, but acts like I took a giant crap in her cereal. Definitely a "how dare you tell me how to do my job" sort of situation. She begins saying really nasty things about me to corporate, saying I'm terrible and mean to her, saying I'm not providing enough supervision. Never mind, she was constantly cancelling, so I would show up and she wouldn't be there, changing schedules with clients, which she didn't have authority to do. I got her in trouble for that before I left, etc. She was a loudmouth, so someone who didn't like her told me all about how she was crap talking me. Tired of all the bullcrap, I just said F it, and I quit, and started my own company. I've been very happy since. Cue revenge. A year later, I'm hiring for my company as I'm expanding, and guess who applies to work for me? Yep, nasty witch. I cannot tell you how much pleasure I got out of declining her application and clicking that she was unqualified to apply. On the comments in this post, someone said that they should have called her in for an interview and then declined her to her face. That's good, but it seems like a lot more work. And this is petty revenge after all. Okay, you ready? Let's get on with story number 3. It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Screw that, it's not your stuff. I moved into an apartment where 2 friends of mine lived after we'd been talking about it for a year. I knew one more than the other, so I'm gonna name them roommate 1 and 2. I knew roommate 1 longer, and since he was the one trying his hardest to make sure I moved in. After I did, we started to make pretty chill rules about how to make sure we could coexist. Big mistake. As time moved on, I started noticing stuff going missing. Hygiene products, sodas, alcohol, snacks, and food mainly. I asked roommate 2 about it, and he said he was noticing the same thing and suspected roommate 1. We asked him about it, and he denied doing anything like that, but we were not convinced. We both moved all our snacks and our alcohol into our rooms. We caught him a few times taking food, sodas, and snacks. His answer to that was that he didn't know it was ours and thought it was his, even though it was obviously ours since he didn't buy the stuff himself. The last straw was when I went and visited my parents over the weekend. I had 1 bottle of gin in our liquor cabinet that I forgot to put in my room, and a box of my favourite wine on the floor of my room, which I had planned to drink when I came home on Sunday. I get a text from roommate 2 that roommate 1 had invited some friends over and they were drinking my wine and gin. When roommate 2 saw what they were drinking, he knew it was mine since only I bought the stuff. Roommate 2: does OP know you're drinking his stuff? Roommate 1: nah, I didn't ask. You know he'll be really pissed, right? Well, it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Even one of the friends he invited over questioned what he did, but roommate 1 just played it off as if I wouldn't care. I was really pissed he had started to walk into our rooms to take our stuff now. We had a stern talking to when I got home about how disrespectful that was. I now started locking my room and then went to a store and bought myself a label maker. Insert evil giggle. When I came home, I started labeling everything that was mine. Food, spices, cooking oils, snacks, sodas, alcohol, soaps, shampoos, conditioners, skincare products, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush. For some reason, he took an earlier one I had used and refused to admit it. Kinda nasty. When that was done, roommate 2 and I started to reorganize all the shelves in the kitchen and fridge to make sure it was super clear who had what, and that just meant putting stuff that wasn't ours on a free shelf. For good measure, I labelled the shelves with our names, even where whose towel was supposed to be. Roommate 1 had no more excuses regarding who had what and where. He also had to ask every single time to borrow anything. He had to replace my alcohol as well, which he did. We had no more problems with things disappearing after that. Sometimes I forget I'm reading PettyRevenge and I'm just thinking to myself, oh my god, that's so petty. And then I realize what I'm reading and go, yes, it's supposed to be petty read. That's right. That was some very pretty r/petty revenge, wasn't it? I'm Red and I hope you liked it, and I'd really like it if you could like the video. Just like that. And subscribe while you're there so that you can see all of my videos as I publish them, which is every day, okay? Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.